What's up, everybody? My name is Dell. This is Dell on Movies. Thanks for hanging out with me. And if you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again. And tonight we got a big treat for me, hopefully for you guys as well. I know it's going to be a big treat for you guys as well. One of my favorite YouTubers, and he has a great channel called turnerfan77. And he does some videos with his daughter where she's watching older movies. He's got some lots of comic book stuff for people that's into comic books, and he also spends a lot of time hanging out with Dave of the 4K Lowdown. So once again, let's everybody welcome in Mr. Rich of turnerfan77. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for having me, Dell. This is an honor because I'm a big fan of yours, and I ain't gonna lie, I was super excited when you asked me to come on. So thank you.
Oh, it's no problem, no problem. You guys had me over on the lowdown. We did the what was it, the big five? I can't
Yeah, high
remember if it's
five. Yeah,
high five. Okay, because everybody's got a five something, so I
right.
I can't ever remember which. A lot of fun doing that. And of course, I graded my movies super high, where I had you guys watch some of my favorite movies, and you
Hmm.
guys gave more honest scores. So I appreciate that. That was a good time.
Yeah.
Um, Now we're gonna lose a few people right off the bat because we're gonna talk a little sports for just a minute. So nobody out there panic. We're gonna talk sports for just a minute. All right. 'Cause I've known this for a while, and I see you got the jersey on tonight. You got the Cardinals jersey on.
Hmm.
You're a lifelong St. Louis Cardinals fan.
Yep.
Now you know that I'm a Yankee fan, but that's not where we're going. So I'm also I'm big into baseball history.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much you are or
Yeah.
not
I,
on that
I
end of
I
it.
like to say I am.
Okay. So my question for you is just your top three St. Louis Cardinals.
That's easy. Number one, Ozzie Smith. Number two, Albert Pujols. And number three, oh, this gonna be hard. Um, it's a tie between Stan Musial and Bob Gibson. But I think I'm going
Mm,
to go Bob Gibson because there's nothing better than a pitching duel, and he went after hitters like there was no tomorrow. He wasn't afraid to pitch inside, so I'm going to go Bob Gibson as my number three.
I would agree with that. I definitely would go Bob Gibson. I would probably go Gibson, Musial, and Pujols. Even though it would hurt my heart to leave off the Wizard of Oz, though
Yeah,
Ozzie Smith, because he was my guy growing up because he
me
could do
too.
things.
That's why I picked him number one.
Yeah, he could do things with a glove that were crazy.
Hmm.
I once heard a story about Bob Gibson. You talk about pitching inside. I can't remember who said it though, but he was like, you see batters when they step into the box, they're digging in, and he said one young guy was digging in one time, and the catcher told him, "You keep digging that hole in there, he's gonna bury you in it." So that was always one of my favorite Bob Gibson stories.
Yeah, I mean
All right,
those
so I don't
pitchers. Oh,
go
sorry. Go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
Oh,
go
I
ahead.
was
Go
just
ahead.
going to say is that pitchers back then they weren't afraid to pitch inside. That's when they didn't care about pitch counts. They just went until
Oh
the
yeah,
game was over.
oh yeah. It's
I
it's,
miss those
it's
days.
different day. Different day now. They count every
Hmm.
pitch. After a certain amount of pitches, no matter what's happening in the game, they pull you out. And they back then, they leave you until your arm fell off, pretty much.
Yeah.
So very very different game. But I don't want to lose everybody out there because
Yeah.
they're here for movies. Because I can go on about baseball all day.
Me too.
So, but we're gonna switch over to some movies and your channel. And I referenced it, and backstage we talked a little bit about it. What am I watching, Dad, or what are we watching, Dad?
Hmm.
The series you do with your daughter, and I know
Yeah.
you mentioned to me that it's getting harder to do because she's busy. She's in school. She's
Yeah.
got extracurricular activity and going on. But it's one of my favorite series. And
Thank
how
you.
did it come about? Whose idea was this?
It was me a sneaky way to spend a little extra time with her. Um, we went to see Top Gun Maverick when it first came out, and I was like, let's just record your thoughts. And she was like, Dad, I didn't like it. That's even better. and and it just started from there. It just kind of snowballed into what it is now. I've got like 5 or 6 movies lined up for us to watch. Like you said earlier, it's getting harder with school, sports for her. But I'm just patiently waiting. So when that gets over with, we can dive right back in.
So who picks the movies? You just
I
pick them?
do. I pick
Okay.
them. Yeah.
Okay. So is it getting easier for you to kind of judge what she might like?
Yeah, it is. She the only requirement she asks is if we do an older movie, is if we can do somewhat of a newer movie, the next movie,
Got it. Just wants
and
a
she
little.
wants to alternate. And I said I can do that.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. You don't want
Yeah,
to make them watch all old folk stuff.
yeah. She still holds grudges though for some of the movies that I've made her watch.
Ooh, what's one she's holding a grudge about?
Howard the Duck.
Oh yeah, I can't blame her for that.
There's what was the other one? Flash Gordon. There's a couple of them in there. She's like, "You made me watch these, Dad, so you have to give me my way," or
So
something like.
yeah, it's a lot of cheese in those two movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. I understand. Now, I also mentioned you do a lot of comic book stuff, comic book
Mm-hmm.
related stuff, and of course, comic book movies.
Yeah.
Sometimes, so my question is then: you hear people talking about superhero fatigue. Does that affect you?
Yeah, I'm currently in superhero fatigue because I'm over the Marvel movies. But I still love comic books. I read comic books almost daily, just maybe one comic book a day. Um, but for the movie wise, yeah, I'm comic book fatigued. I'd rather see movies. I get that these are tentpole movies and they basically fund smaller movies. Um,
Hmm.
but I would rather see those smaller movies because they're more original. If that makes sense.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Now I don't really get superhero fatigue, but you watch more movies than I do, but it's like I try to space them out, whereas I'm not watching just a whole bunch of superhero movies in a row. Unless it's something crazy like what I should do for YouTube, I should rank all the MCU, which I'll probably do again. But unless it's
That
something like that,
is a good idea.
yeah, I did it last year, and I'm probably redo it after Miss Marvel comes out. Um,
Yeah.
but other than that, I kind of spread them out, and I watch them when I go to theaters, and every once in a while I'll watch them here, or at least the live action ones. I watch
Right.
more DC animated ones also.
Well, those DC animated movies, I love the DC animated movies. That's one thing I'm not tired of. It's the DC animated movies. They're fantastic.
Oh, they're awesome. They're awesome. Did you pick up the 4K of Mask of Phantasm?
Not yet. I have. I'm waiting for a little price drop. I don't usually buy anything brand new day one anymore. I kind of just wait for a little sale to go on.
Okay, so let me tell you how stupid I am. So
Uh oh.
I go to a when I also went this weekend to visit my daughter. Her homecoming was this weekend, and we hung out, went to the football game, and so there's a big used bookstore out there that I go to sometime, and I traded in some stuff, and I'm walking around looking for what I'm gonna buy, and I come across Mask of Phantasm 4K, pretty much brand new, but
Oh
it was
wow.
previously viewed, and they had it for like $11, and I had a handful of stuff, and I said, well, you know what? Let me go over here and check something really quick, and I'm gonna come back and grab it if I don't see what I wanted, because I'm trying to stick to a budget. I go over there, they didn't have what I wanted, and then I grabbed something else that I saw, and then walked back past Mask of Phantasm and forgot about it until I was like halfway home, and this is an hour drive, so I'm like halfway home, and I went, oh damn it, I could
Oh,
have had that for $11.
man. That's a good deal, man.
Yeah, yeah. I have the movie, but I have it on blue, and so I'm not like super pressed about it. But it would have been nice to get it for that.
Right.
So, eh, you win some, you lose some, I guess.
I'm currently watching because I don't know if you know. I'm currently watching my movie collection in alphabetical order. I am only on my B's, and I just finished Batman and Batman Returns in the 4K Steelbook box set. You've seen that, I'm sure you have.
Yeah,
Uh,
you talking about this one right here?
yeah, actually, yeah, there, yeah. Man, I was really impressed with the first two's 4K quality. I was like, holy cow! I'm not a big fan of those movies,
Hmm.
but they looked fantastic. The Batman and Batman Returns, I was like, oh my goodness, this is a joy to watch. Even though I don't like the movie, but I like the visually. It looked pretty good.
Okay, okay. I when I first got this set, I popped in each disc just to kind of see how it looked, but I didn't really watch the movies, and I saw that they looked great, but I still haven't sat down and watched them all yet. So I need to do that. Thanks
Yeah, I
for
need to
reminding
finish.
me. I look at it like every day and going, I'm gonna watch.
Right.
It's just weird. All right. Last thing I want to ask about before we before we get started on the movies that we're here for, is you have cultivated a fantastic relationship, friendship with David of the 4K Lowdown, and where you guys, it's rare to see one without the other. At least for me, whenever I see you, I see you with your daughter, obviously, but then a lot of times I see you on his channel, or
Mhm.
you guys will do something live that's on his channel and your channel. So how did that all come about?
Honestly, I have to thank 4K D-Ray. Um, he's the one that does the battles,
Right.
and David, he pitted us against each other, and then I think we just clicked. And he asked me to be on the very first high five, I think it was,
Uh huh.
and I did that. And then he was going live with something, and I was in the chat, and he said, "Hey, if you want to hop on." So he gave me the link. I signed in, and then it just took off from there. And just the connection. Um,
It's a great connection. It's not like a lot of groups out there. No disrespect to any of the groups out there. I mean, there's a lot of groups
hmm
that formed in our community, but it's not like those where it's three, four, five people, all hanging out and trying to put some with you guys. It feels genuine. It's just two guys, two
Yeah,
real good friends, just hanging out and talking about movies. So I really like that, and that's what keeps me coming back to you guys is
I
shows.
appreciate that, man.
So
I mean, because it is real friendship. So yeah, I dig. We talk all the time on Instagram, text. So yeah, we're always in communication. It's not like once the camera goes off, we don't talk because that's not real.
right, right, and you can feel that. All right, so let's see who is out here hanging out with us tonight. We're gonna start with the caveman. Caveman movies and more. He says, please make sure to smash the like button for these two cool cats. Some of my favorite people here. Oh,
Thank you, caveman.
I get the cookie. Okay, and let's see. We got Adrian James is in the building. He says, hey there, Dell and guest. Hey,
What's up,
what's
Adrian?
up? Holland is here. I might have to give Holland a
So
little crap here. People are beating you in lately. You and Adrian, people beating you guys in. What's going on? I'm just kidding. I'm just glad you guys are here at all. Wilkie is here. Wilkie's movies and more, and he says, "Hey there, Dell and Rich."
what's up, Wookie?
Yeah, Wilkie's been hanging out here a lot lately. I really
Awesome.
appreciate. Here's one good person I see on your stream all the.
Yeah, he's a
Here's,
great supporter, just like you, man.
yeah, says evening everyone. Smash that
What's
like.
up, movie hunter?
And his spicy is here also. He says, "Hey everyone, Del, Rich, hope all is well. All is going pretty
Yeah,
good tonight."
pretty good, Spicy.
And we got Hey Reed, so Wilkie saying hey, and we got some Hayes back and forth. So I'm just kind of there's Adrian. Speaking of Adrian, he says hello everyone, and I'm just kind of looking to see if there was anybody else who I hadn't mentioned yet. There's Steve Moody is here. Steve says howdy.
What's up, Steve?
And we got the big man is here, the superstar Tony.
Yeah. What's up,
What's going on,
Tony?
Tony? He says hi, guys. Tony's a
Big
cool.
fan of Tony. Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Sarah is here tonight also,
What's
and then
up, Sarah?
I'm gonna pretend that she actually said Rich, and she
It's
actually
okay.
fixed it. The next one, she
Yeah.
actually fixed it. She said Rich and Dell. So thank you, Sarah. Thanks for being here, Sarah.
We appreciate you, Sarah.
Absolutely. And we got a lot of people saying hi to Sarah. And Sarah also says she just got back from practice. Okay.
Awesome.
And James is here. James is in the building. What's going on, James? James the 20th and 21st.
What's up?
I know he's gonna be on I think Mega Mike tomorrow. They're gonna be talking some scary, spooky stuff, I guess. And Sarah says she'll check out the videos soon. And we have someone else. Here's Huck, another superstar. What's going on, Huck?
What's up, Huck?
Says, hey fellas. And he had a trivia thing that was kind of interesting. So he was on Jeopardy. That's what it was. He was on Jeopardy on Roger's channel, 4K King.
Awesome.
That was hilarious. I think everybody wound up with like negative $10,000 or something.
I
That was
love Huck's personality, man. He's
oh,
so awesome.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Huck is he's infectious, that's for sure.
Hmm. His
And
positivity.
yes, absolutely. He says, "Hey gang, great seeing all y'all as well." Dimension Scott is here. What's going on,
What's up,
Dimension?
Dimension?
And he just says, "What's up, fellas?" Dimension's another one, underrated channel. Not as many people watch
Hmm.
or talk about Dimension as I think should. And I understand that he is not as flashy as some of the others. Is what's happening there, but he's got a lot of great content,
Hmm.
and he's also passionate about superhero movies. Also, so I appreciate that. Oh, look who's here, Mel, my killer podcast.
What's
What's
up,
going on,
Mel?
Mel?
We got her coming up on the high five in a couple weeks.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
looking forward to that.
Cool. She was on Movie Swap a few weeks back, so
I did
she's
watch that one. Yeah,
making her rounds.
she's awesome.
She is. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and get started here in just a second. To second place in regional softball for Sarah. Okay,
Awesome.
very good, very outstanding, outstanding. And let's. I'm just gonna make one last sweep here. The monkey is here. What's going on, monkey? He says saw that 4K D-Ray battle. It was legendary.
Well, thank you,
I
Martin.
I saw it. I don't remember who won. Who won?
I did.
Okay.
I think I beat him fairly largely. There's a big gap there. I'm not bragging. Yeah, I'm bragging a little bit.
Make sure that that's we got the facts, right?
Yeah, we got the facts there.
We got the facts. That's all that counts. All right, so let's go ahead. Well, just as I say that, Laren is in the building. What's going on, Laren? And Laren, Dell, and Rich. Good evening. And
Good evening.
we're gonna put a pin in it right there, and we are going to let you tell the good people what movie you had for me to watch.
Okay, this movie I picked because I'm a fan. I remember loving this movie when I was a kid. I love the music in it. It's really not my type of music, so I picked Eddie and the Cruisers, the first one. Second one's nowhere as good as the first one, and I hope everyone has seen this movie because it's worth watching.
Okay. Give me a brief rundown on what Eddie and the Cruisers is
Okay,
about.
I'm just going to read it straight from the back.
Okay.
They say rock and roll never dies, but one dark night in 1963, Eddie Wilson's car took a dive off a Jersey bridge with the troubled rock idol at the wheel. His body was never found. 20 years after the lead singer's death, or after he disappeared, the band's songs are hotter than ever, and renewed interest in the band leads TV reporter Maggie Foley to pursue a tantalizing mystery: what if Eddie was still alive?
All right. So I never saw this movie before, even though it came out quite a while ago.
Hmm.
I don't know why I never saw it. I'm not sure. It's just one of those things I just didn't get around to. So it wasn't like a purposeful thing that I just like. I'm not gonna watch that. But I tell you what, I did think. I thought all this time for a long that Eddie and the Cruisers was a real story for a long time.
I thought that when I was a kid too.
Okay, so it's not just me. I
Yeah.
was like, Eddie and the Cruisers, and it was weird because I never heard any Eddie and the Cruisers songs, so I was like,
You never
man,
heard On the Dark Side on the radio or anything?
no. So it was watching it now. It was I realized it was like okay,
Yeah.
this is not a real story. But it is interesting because I think they borrow from a lot of different characters, a lot of not
Hmm.
just characters, but a lot of different real singers to kind of make up Eddie. And I thought that was interesting. Of course, he's some of the singers from the '60s, but I will say right off the bat, the one that kept bothering me and kind of taking me out of the movie was Bruce Springsteen. I kept getting Bruce Springsteen from him, like the
A little
whole
bit,
movie.
yeah. The way he stands and um, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, the way he's dressed and even
Hmm.
the songs sounded like, late '70s, early '80s Springsteen songs to me.
Hmm.
I'm like, this is not '60s music. What is happening here? So I don't know if you picked up on that before now
I
or
know not as I rewatched it for the show. I picked up on that
okay.
because I hadn't watched it in a long time.
Right, right. So yeah, that was my one thing that was kind of like a hang up to me going through the movie because I just whenever music would start, especially, it's like, yeah, it's that Springsteen sounds like sounds
I
like the
forget
boss.
what the original band is that sings the music, but I still like the music in this. The
Yeah,
problem
it's
I
not
have
bad music.
with it is
Yeah,
Tom Berenger. I,
yeah.
he just doesn't work for me as an actor. I have a
Uh,
problem with him. I haven't
I,
liked
I,
anything.
yeah, I understand that. And the band, the going back to the Springsteen thing for a last thing, just the makeup of the band also kind of looked like the E Street Band to me.
Right?
So that was kind of interesting. But yeah, Tom Berenger, I don't know that I've ever looked at him in anything and be like, oh man, he killed it in that.
Yeah, I
So
have. I liked him in Major League. That's it.
yeah, he was good in Major League,
Yeah,
and to be fair, he was good here. I don't think he was great, but I think he was. I think he was, well, maybe not good, but okay. He was okay here.
it's his facial expressions that bother me in this movie. I don't know
Okay,
why.
okay. The other person that I think they were kind of going for, which I fits more the time period to me, was Jim Morrison from The Doors. The way
Yeah,
he kind of talked all kind of mystical
yeah,
sometimes,
eccentric and
and I kind of got that vibe from him
yeah.
also.
I can
And
see seeing that.
yeah, that works for me a little bit better. But he's not actually the main character.
No,
No, even though the movie is named, I just drew a blank on the other guy's name. I'm gonna look it up real quick. I think I'm gonna look it up real quick anyway.
it's the is it Sal? No, let me.
But he's he's the guy who's in kind of a one of the musical guy. He was a writer. I'm sorry, he's Words. They called him Words. That's what it was. They called him Words, and he was the guy who wrote the lyrics to the songs. And yes, Sal
I think it
is
was Sal. Is it Sal?
yes,
Okay.
it is Sal, and they called him Words. That was his nickname,
Hmm.
and yeah, and he was really the main character, and he was kind of plucked out of obscurity by Eddie, and actually Michael Perry actually plays Eddie, not Tom Berenger. He plays somebody else,
Right. Tom
right?
Berenger plays the
Frank,
piano player.
right, right.
Yeah.
So, but Sal is kind of plucked off the obscurity. He's just kind of hanging out in the bar when they're
Hmm.
playing, and he's got some advice for him. Eddie takes a liking to him, brings him on to the band, and then he rest is history. He's just traveling with the band. He's writing all their songs, and what'd you think about Sal?
I I felt bad for him.
Okay.
I okay. I like every character in here. I really do.
Hmm.
Um, but it's I don't know. I think the person I don't like in this movie is um is he the manager? Um, Not Joe Pesci, but what's his name? He's in
Uh,
Matrix. I always forget his name. He's in Bad Boy.
Joey Pants, Joe Pantel,
Yeah,
I can't say his
he's the
name,
one. He's the character.
Pantoliano. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't
Joey
like his
Pants.
character
A lot
in
of
this
people
movie.
call. Yeah, yeah. He's managers in movies. They're
Yeah,
always dirtbags, that's for sure.
I I liked. It's hard to explain. I like the band dynamic. I know Eddie was kind of a dick at times.
Right.
He treated everybody except for the girl. Except for that one. I guess one time he was kind of rude to the girl when they're at the college,
Uh huh.
and jealous, right? You'd say that's jealousy, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And when he
He
doesn't,
Yeah, he kind of scoped out, Sal and her,
yeah,
their scoped out their vibe. So yeah, he was jealous of that.
yeah,
Um, I I, I thought it was kind of justifiable jealousy, but not his action was a bit much.
right. You could be jealous, but not don't be a dick. You know?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And honestly, it was my favorite scene is the scene following that when they're playing, for the college kids,
Hmm.
and he's introducing the band members one by one,
Right.
and he just kind of takes it out on Sal right there.
Yeah.
And that was that it was my favorite, not because I thought that he did a good thing, just my favorite from just of a standpoint of kind of it was funny, it was, but it was still kind of gut wrenching kind of deal, and
Right.
yeah, I really appreciated
And I don't
that.
even remember what name he gave him. It was just some random.
Yeah, he gave him some random name, and at
Yeah.
first he wouldn't say anything about him at all.
Hmm.
And then they kind of was like, then he was like, "Oh yeah, that guy." So
Right.
it was really really rude. Um, now
There's really
you
not a
mentioned.
whole.
Go
No, go
ahead.
ahead.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, this
No,
is
go ahead.
really an easy, like a quick movie.
Hmm.
It's not very long, but for me, just the music. I keep saying the music because this is what sucked me in when I was a kid. I like the fantasy. Is he alive? Or you know, could this be real? It just sucked me in.
Right, right. So that part of the movie, yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about that. So yeah, that's the big mystery. It's kind of like is Elvis alive kind of deal.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, go ahead if you want to talk a little bit more about that particular part about what you liked about that.
I liked it because okay, my stepmom was a Elvis fan,
Okay.
and it is an Elvis fan. She's still with us. And that's what it reminded me of is could Elvis be alive? What if he was? And because people still play his music,
Hmm.
like he's alive, and the music's all great for them. And I liked the mystery of how the woman who kept seeing like, is that Eddie in the car? No,
Yeah.
spoiler alert, this movie is like forever ago.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
and then when you get the reveal from the person in the car, I was like, oh man! I remember watching this movie for the first time, and you're like, no, it was supposed to be Eddie. You know, 'Cause as a kid, you're thinking it's Eddie. Because
You're
as a
thinking
kid,
it's
you're
Eddie,
Eddie.
yeah.
You don't know the story tropes, and yeah, I loved the mystery. It was Eddie alive, and then at the very end, you get your answer, and I love that. And
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
and you
That
hear,
was a cool scene. Yeah, that
yeah,
end part was a cool scene. It was a cool payoff.
hmm,
I was I wasn't really surprised by the reveal, the big reveal you talked about in the car.
right,
Wasn't really surprised about it, but I'll say that had I seen it when I was younger, I would have been big surprised, like you
hmm,
were back then. I would have been like, "Oh wow, how did they do that?" But yeah, now just knowing kind of the way stories work and the way they kind of set up, because like you said, his
yeah,
character's kind of a creep, and so they set it up that way, and it's like, yeah, that makes so much sense that that's who was sitting in the car. Um, then we what did you think about the just I know you said you like the band members individually.
yeah.
What did you think about their dynamic together?
I loved watching them play on stage. I did. I like from the saxophone. It was a saxophone, right?
Yeah.
Um, I loved that, and I don't know why this this music is not me, and and it's so weird. Uh, but I liked that. I liked the bass. I don't know. I just liked the way they gelled. I really did.
Okay. Okay.
And,
I,
and
I understand that because this is really I talked a lot about Springsteen, but Springsteen is not really my kind of music either. But I've heard a lot of it over through my life.
right,
And sometimes when you get in a movie and something's going within the context of the movies and you get to know and like the characters, it just makes the
yeah,
music sound better.
yes. And but as an adult, when you watch this movie, the acting's terrible. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not a well acted movie. It's a what is this 80 something 80,
Uh-huh.
and you can tell very much so. But I still loved it. I don't know why it just does. I do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No need to, no apologies needed, no explanation needed. You love it, you love it. We love what we love, and just from some technical standpoints, yeah, I would agree. The movie's not very well acted. I didn't think it was that bad, and part of that is maybe I'm just watching more '80s movies lately, so I'm
Right.
in that mode. But
It's weird how what's acceptable for 80s, and then what's acceptable for now. It's weird how that's changed.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it gets, the further you go back, it gets more and more different. Things that people would do back in the 30s in a movie were way different than the 40s and the 50s.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, for instance, I've watched I've watched probably a dozen Humphrey Bogart movies, and I think I've liked his performance in two.
Yeah.
And the others, I'm like, oh, he's terrible. But everybody's like, oh, Bogart's one of the great actors of all time. But different era, and it just doesn't translate for me. And I think we're kind of getting a little bit of that here. It's 80s era was acceptable, like you said, is acceptable for then. Maybe not so much right now, and they weren't so outstanding that it translates.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, Humphrey Bogart. I recently watched 12 Angry Men,
Uh-huh.
and I that was fantastic.
Yes, it is great movie.
And the acting, I don't know any of those actors in that movie. Um,
Henry
it,
Fonda's in
well, yes, I guess that's the one I knew. Uh,
it.
it blows a lot of movies today out of the water,
Yeah,
and that's crazy to think that was it 1950s. That
yeah.
movie was
I,
1960s.
I think it was in the 50s.
It's just fantastic, and I think some actors need to go back and watch some of those older movies and see how it's done a little bit.
Yeah, like like I was saying, it's one of those cases where, yeah, if you go overall 50s acting, maybe it's not so great, but that movie at that time, they killed it. And,
Yeah,
and
I've been discovering Alfred Hitchcock. I've been
uh
slowly going down that rabbit hole with Rear Window and Vertigo. I absolutely love those movies.
yeah,
And
I agree,
how
man.
can those movies be so good, so well acted?
Mhm.
From that time period. Because when I first watched this, I didn't want to watch them because they're older movies. It can't be that good. The acting can't be that good. And holy cow, it just blew me out of water how good that acting was.
Oh yeah, and I mean, in those Hitchcock movies, you got top caliber talent too.
Yeah.
So it's not like just any old guy they stuck up there.
Hmm. That's true. That is true.
And the director helps. I mean, Hitchcock helps. He, do it this way, or this is what I'm looking for. That kind of guy. So it helps. I'm just going to see if anybody has chimed in about this movie. We do have some more comments back and forth. Some more Hayes. Tony says he appreciates the kind words. I guess
Always.
we were given to him. Yeah, absolutely, Tony. You deserve those kind
Yeah.
words.
Remember, you helped me out when I first started this YouTube thing. I don't know if you remember when I was getting ready to go my first D-Ray battle. He, I'll never forget it because he was kind enough to do a quick, like, not recorded live with me to kind of walk me through, with the camera and stuff. So I'll always be thankful for Tony for that.
Okay. Okay. Cool. That's really cool to hear because Tony sometimes is pressed to put too many words together at one time.
Yeah.
He's real quick,
Hmm.
but I'm glad to hear that, and it makes total sense because that's the kind of person he is.
Yeah.
KB is here, so his
What's
stream
up,
must have just
KB?
ended. He says, "Sup, party people, looking forward to this one. Thank you for coming on by. I was enjoying your stream. He had the twins over on his channel earlier tonight.
Speaking of the twins, we got them coming up on the high five the week after my killer podcast.
Oh, everybody's going to be just doing everything because they're going to be here too."
So
They're gonna be here too after they're done KB. So they're doing their rounds. Steve says words and music. And James got our first comment about the music, about the movie really well. I guess words and music was about this one. James says, haven't seen Eddie and the Cruisers, but sounds like an interesting premise.
it is, but don't go in with high hopes.
Okay. I hope you heard that, James. All right. Huck says, I love On the Dark Side. I made a playlist of fake band songs, and that was on there. Ooh, that sounds like an
Yeah.
interesting playlist,
Yeah.
actually. You could probably make a whole. You can just put the soundtrack for Inside Llewyn Davis on there and just go for it. That's a great one. Um, Sarah, now did I ever miss podcast for Dell and Rich between work at the YMCA? No, you're all good.
But yeah, we appreciate you, Sarah. You're a great supporter.
Oh, absolutely. Steve says John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band did the music.
There you go. Thank
Okay.
you.
I did not know that at all. That was a new one on me. So good. Thank you for that, Steve. All right. Huck says, I was just typing that, Steve. So he beat him to the punch. Speaking of the twins, at least one of them are here, maybe both of them, and they
Yeah,
say, "Hey, everyone." All right. So I'm just looking to see if there's any other comment about Eddie and the Cruisers. Here's Steve again. He says Eddie and the Cruisers. Oh, they were asking what movie we were watching. The film title, Eddie and the Cruisers, is that film. A couple of people were telling her. Lauren was telling her. And Steve, I think Michael Parra was chosen more for his looks than his talent.
yeah. And
Okay.
he does an okay job at lip syncing, but his facial expressions get a little over the top at times.
Right, right. And it's so hard to do that in movies
I
to lip
bet.
sync because uh, not that I have experience lip syncing in movies, but but when it's off, it's noticeable.
Yeah,
So it's kind of hard to do it, and that's
yeah,
why I give props to those actors who actually sing in
yeah,
their movies, especially if they're playing an actual person. Like Joaquin
yeah.
Phoenix did all the singing and Walk the Line, and I
That's
believe
fantastic.
yeah. Whoa, why am I drawing a blank on her name too? Reese Witherspoon, I believe she did all her singing also in that same movie.
Yeah,
And but it's an artistic choice too, because like for instance, in What's Love Got to Do with It, and that's on my mind because I watched a YouTuber react to it, and then I came home today and my wife was watching it. But
that's awesome.
yeah, but
That's a great movie too.
yeah, it is a great movie. And in that movie, everybody lip synced and they wanted to kind of maintain the Tina Turner voice.
Yeah,
So
and you kind of have to for her.
uh-huh.
And rest in peace too, Tina Turner.
Uh Huck says Michael's acting works best in Streets of Fire. I still haven't seen Streets of Fire.
Neither have I.
Okay, okay,
You
so that's
you know, I say watch this movie, and then if you like '80s movies, I'm sure this will. You might like it.
uh-huh, uh-huh. Okay. We,
Are
we're
you
gonna keep
familiar
it.
with the second one at all?
Am I familiar with what?
Eddie and the Cruisers 2 at all?
No, not at all. I didn't know there was a sequel until you just held it up a minute ago.
Yeah. I think it's Shot Factory. It's Francis
Okay.
Blair. Um, but it's you know how hair bands had all
Yeah.
the guitars. It's a totally different music type than what's in the first one. It's all flash hair metal, and he's
Really?
like, yeah, and he's like, what the hell is this?
Okay.
Because he's. I'm gonna spoil a little bit.
So yeah, go ahead. I was gonna ask you, what is the premise?
He's pretending not to be Eddie Wilson. He's working in a construction company, and he's working with this kid that has his band. He's all flashy with the guitar, and Eddie tells him he sucks, and then he's like, "If I suck, you tell me how to do it." Then, and he's like, "Okay, I'll show you." And then he gets suckered into doing a battle of the bands or something like that, and people recognize him. As the movie goes, like, man, he sounds like Eddie Wilson. Could that be Eddie Wilson? And then the cat's out of the bag, and they do the. I think they win the battle of the bands or something. But it's all
Oh,
that flashy, sound like a bunch of killer bees on the guitar.
okay. Okay. Is it worth a watch?
I won't recommend it. I mean, if you're bored and you can find it for free, don't pay for it.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. So I'm not gonna be in a rush to watch Eddie and the Cruisers 2.
Yeah,
Uh, I won't be in a rush for that one.
Eddie lives.
Yeah, I guess that would make sense. That would
Yeah,
definitely make sense. All right. Twin said they have not seen Eddie and the Cruisers, the original. Have not seen that one. We'll have to add to the watch list. And I hope it's still on your watch list because I don't know how good a job Richard is doing selling the movie. See,
I mean, right? Because I don't want people to go in and be like, "This movie's trash," because it's not a top tier movie at by any means.
right,
It's
right,
just a
right, right.
movie that I loved as a kid, and I still enjoy watching it from time to time.
Right. They said they can't wait to join both our shows. Now
Yeah,
that said, now am I wrong in thinking that it has though a pretty good cult following?
I think it does. Every now and then I'll run into somebody, like if I'm at work, we listen to satellite radio, and that theme song comes on all the time, and then randomly I'll just talk to people about Eddie and the Cruisers. So that's kind of cool. I mean, I think there is a little cult following for it.
Okay, I thought it was. I thought it was a pretty popular movie. Patrick is here for Have Cheetah Will View. He says, "Boo."
Oh,
What's going on? If you're not familiar with Patrick's channel, great channel.
I'm
He
not.
interviews a lot of people from who are independent filmmakers
Oh,
or work within the regular industry. But there are a lot of independent filmmakers, actors and directors and writers, and he's talking to them, a couple times a week, 2 3 times a week. He's got somebody on his show. Um, Hopefully I'll be on the show one day. I'm not that I'm in the industry at all, but he asked me to be on and I just couldn't
what's his YouTube channel?
squeeze it. Say it again.
What's his YouTube channel?
That's it right there. Have
Oh, that's
cheetah
it right
will
there.
view.
Okay,
Hmm.
I'm gonna. Uh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I don't mean to. Before I
No, no,
lose
no.
it,
No, go for it.
have cheetah
Will view. I'll put it back up there.
will will view. I'm gonna give him a subs because I like the sound of that. There
Yeah.
we go. Just subs.
Yeah. And he's like a couple nights a week, 3 times a week, I want to say. He's got somebody on there and he's got some good conversations. The monkey says, I've seen a few people go as characters from that movie at costume parties, but no one knows who they are.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is cool. I would bet. Let me know, Monkey, if they think that if somebody's dressed up as Eddie, if they think they're from Greece.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I would.
yeah.
I would probably think that first. I would be like, "Hey, you John Travolta from Greece," and they look at me like I was crazy. I'm sure. And Patrick says, thinking we would make Dell watch the something. Maybe he's saying the sequel. I don't know. Sarah says, I don't have any Shout Select movies in my entire collection.
That's
It's weird.
okay.
I've picked up a few that I didn't know until I just went back and looked at them later. Like, oh wow, that's a Shout Select. I didn't even know. So you might have some and just not even be aware of it. All right, and Patrick says, think we would make well Dell watch Human Centipede 2. I haven't
Oh,
watched Human Centipede 1. So
either way,
I don't want to do that.
that's something Dave would make me watch. That's something Dave would do to me.
Yeah, I get it. And I'm sure somebody's gonna try to make me watch it at some point. All right, twins, I'm intrigued. Love my '80s films.
Definitely check it out.
Yeah, definitely check it out. And Steve is trying to help you out. He says it's a good '80s movies. I probably saw it 20 times on HBO back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay. And Indies is in our blood, says Patrick. Yep. And here's another Eddie has popped in. Eddie says Eddie films and stuff. He says, "What's up, fellas?
What's
What's going
up?
on?" And Patrick just saying thank you for the kind words and great Big Lots haul. He saw my Big Lots haul
I
for
know. I
you.
need to keep. I need to watch it. I seen it pop up. I said, oh man, I wanted
Yeah,
to watch that before, but I never got to it.
I won't spoil it, but I found some good stuff at Big Lots that I don't usually find there. So thought that was cool. And the Cheetah wants a movie swap. Absolutely, we're gonna get it going. I'm just kind of trying to fit everybody in. All right, let's get back to Eddie and the Cruisers here. Uh, so, is there any part of the movie that we did not touch on that you want to talk about?
No, I mean, because there's really not a whole lot to it. You know, it starts off. You see Eddie, and the band kind of forming, and really, you kind of summed it up. It's a quick movie to sum up.
Right, right. It is. 90 some odd minutes. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah. It
yeah.
goes pretty quick. It goes pretty quick. All right, so let me go ahead and give my overall thoughts on the movie. If I liked it, how much I liked it or disliked it, and anything else I have to say about the movie. All right. So for me, for Eddie and the Cruisers, my feelings kind of mirroring everything that you're saying. It's it's not a bad movie. It's a fun little watch. The music is pretty good. Music works pretty good. The individual characters I really kind of got into. I really enjoyed those guys. The whole overall story, a little choppy in some places, a little formulaic, and with the mystery was cool, but I thought they could have did maybe a little bit more with it. But overall, I thought they did a pretty good job with that. I was probably more interested, or actually, you know what? I was not more interested, but I was a little confused. Not confused, but I was thinking that Eddie should have been the writer of the songs, and this is a minor nitpick to me. And I felt that way just because of his whole persona, this this deep mystical
Yeah,
guy, and I would think the songs would be coming straight from him. But that's a minor nitpick. But
and I
overall,
agree with that. Now that you say it, I really
okay,
do.
okay, cool. So yeah, overall, I liked it. Didn't love it. It's not anything I'm gonna rush back to see again. But if I happen to sit down and it's on, sure, I'll watch the rest of Eddie and the Kruger's, no problem. So and the music was pretty good. Like I'm like you, it's not necessarily my kind of music, but once you get it going in that movie, it
Hmm.
works. It works. So I can see why it has a bit of a following. So I am cool with that. All right, let's just see if I have any other last minute comments that popped up here. We just got some. Oh, there's. Yep. Patrick says Eddie and the Cruisers was decent. Eddie just saying what's up. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and switch over to the other movie that we're here for tonight, and this movie is. I'm gonna take over the screen for just a moment. So this movie that I had Rich watch was a one of Jennifer Lawrence's earliest movies. It might have been. I don't think it was her very first, but it could have been. And that movie is Winter's Bone. And in this movie, she plays a teenage girl. She's 17 years old, and she's basically raising her family. She's basically taking care of her family on her own. She has a little brother, and her mom is basically an invalid, just stays in the house. Her dad is a bit of an outlaw. He's a meth dealer, and he's on the run from the law. And the law has shown up because last time he was arrested, about he put the house up, basic. So saying that if he didn't show up for his court date, they would come repossess the house, and his family would be out. Of course, his daughter has not seen him in however long. So they're asking, where is he? She doesn't know. She's now on a quest to go find him, and nobody in town wants to help her. Of course, everybody in town that she's talking to, these are not the straight laced folks. These are all the people who travel in the same circles he does. These are all the meth dealers and uh, other assorted criminals. So before I get into the actual movie itself, I do want to ask you a question
Yeah,
because I believe there are two types of people in this world, two type of movie watchers. There are people who are Jennifer Lawrence fans and people who are Jennifer Lawrence haters. Are you? Which are you?
I'm a fan.
Okay,
I am a fan.
okay, okay. That's a good thing to know. All right. So, with that said, what did you think of her in this movie?
Fantastic. I think this is one of her better roles. This was the first time watch for me, and she's fantastic. It was very believable. She wasn't all makeup, like supposed to look beautiful because she's a beautiful young lady. Um, she doesn't look it, and I know that sounds bad as I say it out loud. These people felt like real people. Okay,
Yes.
this movie looks like it took place a town over from me. It's very much like that in Southeast Iowa. Um, and this like it's like somebody went to that town and just started filming because it felt real.
I agree with that. I'm in North Carolina. There's some towns around here that the just like I could see it happening right there.
Yeah.
This whole scenario. Um, with the setup, did you have any idea where it was gonna go?
No, because I knew of this movie, but I didn't know the. I knew something to do with her dad. That was the only thing I knew about this movie going in, and I had no clue where this was going to go, and I was sucked in right from the start.
Okay. Sorry about that. I was trying to get a sip of water here.
That's okay.
Um, so yeah, that setup was really good for me. And then she
Hmm.
starts going around and trying to find out things. And man, she just went through all sorts of hell. How'd you feel for her while
Yeah.
this is happening?
I mean, I felt bad for her. I mean, because she's basically the adult in this whole situation, and she's got to take care of
Hmm.
her family, her mom. I don't know what. I don't remember. She was she depressed, a drug addict herself? I don't
They
remember.
never they never
Yeah,
really say, and I think she just was you know deeply depressed, and she may have had some some mental illness
yeah.
happening, but they never really say.
I mean, yeah, like
Yeah,
I
go
said
ahead.
a second ago, just like she takes charge of her siblings, and she does what she has to do.
Hmm. Hmm. She definitely does. She's going out there and she's trying to
Hmm.
do it. You know, come hell or high water, she's going to try to find
Yeah.
out what's going on,
Did
where
she
this
win
man.
an award for this? Am I mistaken? She was nominated something.
She might have been nominated, and I'm going to look it up while we're talking. She might have been nominated. She didn't win, but she
Because this
might
is a
have been.
nomination performance, I think. Jesus. And the supporting cast too. I mean, the interactions she had with the
Mhm.
the other talent, they all were believable.
Oh, they were fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I'm doing here. And to be honest, as good as she was, one other actress really had my favorite performance in the movie, and that was Dale Dickey, who was the wife of the big time meth dealer.
Yeah, she was
Uh,
the mom in Ozarks too, wasn't she? She was in Ozarks, I think. So
I
that's
didn't
where I
watch
reckon.
Ozark.
Oh, you haven't seen
Yeah,
Ozarks? Oh, that's
no, I
great.
haven't. I've heard it was, but I
Hmm.
didn't see it. But I thought she was just amazing
Yeah.
in the movie. She really, she really put some fear in her and a little bit into me because I'm like, oh man,
Yeah, you
what
don't
is
mess
she
with her.
do? Yeah, we not messing with her, not one bit. All right, I'm looking at the list of accolades received by this award, and I don't see an nominated for best actress. John Hawkes, who played her uncle, he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And it was nominated for Best Picture and Best Adapted Screenplay. Didn't win any of them, but it
Okay.
was nominated for all those.
And it rightfully deserved to be nominated because this film was fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was really good. Like I said, Dale Dickey, she didn't get nominated, but I thought she could have been because
Yeah.
she gave me chills every
Yeah,
time
she
she was on.
does. I mean, she has that not only in this movie, but I take her in Ozarks. She's the
Uh,
same character that way. She- Like she'd beat your ass. I mean, there's no way around it. And
yeah, I believe it. I definitely believe it.
I think the
Uh,
hardest scene for me was probably when she's in the barn and getting assaulted. That was
yeah,
tough to watch
yeah, it
because she's
was.
still a child. You know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah,
Did they say her age in this movie? I don't
yeah,
remember.
she's 17. She
Okay.
says it. I know she says it at least once. I'm not sure if she says it more than that. I know she does say
Yeah.
she's
I mean, 'cause she's
17.
technically still a child.
Yeah,
And these
yeah.
people are putting their hands on her like she's an adult.
Oh yeah,
That was
'cause
tough.
they're not playing around. They're like, hey, look, you better stop sniffing around here. That's
Yeah.
basically what's happening. And what speaking, we go back to Dell Dickey for a second. Not her, but her husband, her character's husband was
Yeah.
the big time. What'd you think of that guy?
Oh, I wouldn't want to run into him in a dark alley.
No.
Just that. I don't. I won't. I don't want to say caricature, but that stereotype he done very well.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
was very believable.
Oh yeah, he did. He did. And you said you wouldn't want to run into him in a dark alley. There's not many people in this movie I would feel comfortable running
Right?
into in a dark alley.
Maybe the little kids, I'd help them out, but that was it. Jennifer Lawrence probably
Maybe.
beat my ass too.
Yeah, she was pretty tough.
Yeah.
She was, because it would have been easy to, take that beating and kind of just call it a loss and
Hmm.
move on with life. but she's like, no, I got to keep going. I gotta, gotta figure this thing out.
She's a
Have,
strong character with flaws, and I like that because you don't need
yes.
every strong character to be a perfect character. You know what I mean? Because sometimes
Hmm.
when you see strong characters, they're the perfect person. They don't mess up. They don't do anything wrong. But she's has flaws.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad you mentioned that because that's one of my issues with some other movies. It usually pops up in biopics, but for instance, a movie everybody loves. I think you're a pretty big fan of it, also, if I'm not mistaken. But that movie is Hacksaw Ridge,
Yeah,
and for me, it was like, he was just so perfect. There were no flaws. He never did anything wrong ever, ever, ever in life. And then, of course, he did what he did,
yeah.
on the battlefield at the end, and that just kind of just didn't gel with me. So I really do appreciate a character like this. Like you said,
Hmm.
she's a strong character, but she's definitely flawed, definitely pig-headed,
Yeah.
and doesn't know as much as she thinks she knows. But
Teenager.
yeah, she's a teenager. Exactly, she's a teenager, but she was a teenager on a mission,
Yeah.
and
And in a good mission for her family.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because you said it earlier, she was functioning like the adult. She was really the adult in the whole movie for the most
Yeah.
part. She was the adult. All these other older folks, they weren't as responsible as she was or as caring as she was. They were all kind of looking out for what put money in their pocket and
Exactly. Their next high.
their next high. Yeah, yeah. And that kind of brings me to the uncle, to John Hawkes. What'd you think of him in the movie?
Shady. I didn't trust him. I didn't trust anybody in this movie except for Jennifer Lawrence for the most part, and the
Okay,
two little kids.
the two
Um,
little kids. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I didn't trust him. He does a fantastic job.
Hmm. Hmm.
The actor. It
Yeah.
was.
Oh, he's
I
great.
like when he tried to mislead her, taking her to that burnt down meth house, and she was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense because this and this."
Oh no, that was another guy. That was
Oh, was
another
it?
guy. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Which one was her
That
uncle?
was
I'm
it.
sorry, I must.
Our uncle's the one with the mustache. Um. Teardrop.
I'm drawing
He
a
went
blank.
to his house. She went the first time she went to his house. His wife answered the door, and she was
Oh
trying to
yes,
call her up.
yes, yes. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember him
That
now.
Yeah, that guy. That's her
Yeah,
uncle.
he's okay. I mean, he doesn't stick out to me like that other dude.
The misleader took her to the. Now I'll say this: that shows that she's been around a lot. She's
Hmm.
experienced a lot because you show most teenagers something like that, and they're gonna accept it at face value.
Yes.
Here's this burnt out meth lab. He must have died in there, and she had the wherewithal to kind of look around and be like, this isn't right.
Hmm.
This thing's
He
been
even
down.
tells her not to go in there because of the chemicals. And she's like, "Get
Right,
out." Yeah,
right. And yeah, she was sharp, and
yeah.
she's definitely experienced some things. So couldn't pull one over on her at all. So that was a really interesting scene.
Hmm.
Let me see if anyone else is talking about it. And Patrick says Dell wins. I guess he
Oh,
likes Bone
oh yeah. Dell
more.
wins. And this is the thing. Look at the two acting from Eddie and the Cruisers. Even though I love that movie, and look at the acting in Winter's Bone. Just
Hmm.
night and day.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And another thing I really liked about I'm sorry, you're going through the chats. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, go for it.
Is the costume design and the cinematography in this movie. I mean, it's dirty but beautiful because it looks real. It doesn't look like a soundstage or anything. It looks like they're in Keokuk, Iowa, um, looking for her dad.
I'm glad you mentioned the costuming because a lot of times we don't think about costuming in movies like this and just kind of low key dramas. we think about it with big sci-fi movies,
Hmm.
superhero movies, period pieces from years ago. But yeah, the costuming was important here, and I agree with you. It felt absolutely
Yeah,
real. So that's a great point. Patrick says Winter's Bone is so good.
I'm gonna add this to my collection.
Great, great. Yeah, Winter's Bone is a great film. Since the twins, and his I'm a Jennifer fan. As posing to my other question or answering to my other question, right? A fan or a
I
hater? She has a lot of haters, and I'm not always sure why.
don't know. She has a wide range. Have you guys seen her new comedy? What was it called?
I haven't seen it yet. I know what you're talking about, but I haven't seen it yet. I've heard it's
I
pretty good.
dug it. I thought she was funny in it.
She doesn't get to be funny a lot in
No, she
movies,
doesn't.
so I'm looking forward to it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, so I do want to see that. Uh, Twins. This is my favorite performance from Jennifer Lawrence, and
I think this
I
is my second favorite performance.
behind
Playbook.
Silver Linings Playbook. Okay,
Yeah,
that's the other one I would say would be right there. I probably would go with this one and Silver Linings Playbook being second, but they're pretty close. And I know everybody's gonna hate me for this one, but I actually think Mother is like right there after that.
I have
But
never seen that.
it's a movie everybody hates, but I'm a fan of it. Um, I shouldn't say everybody hates it, but it is divisive. It's polarizing movie. Either you love it or you hate it. It's one of those kind of deals. Wilkie, I have to add Winter's
Oh,
Bone to
dude,
my watch list. I remember hearing about it, just never got around to it.
definitely do. When I saw this on the list of movies that I was like, I need to see that.
Yep. Oh, good. Glad you picked it. James,
Hmm.
I had that Winter's Bone Blu-ray. Need to finish watching it. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
do I need to add it to my shelf?
And Twins. I believe this film was her breakout role. Yeah, it was
I
because
think it
of the
was.
Oscar nomination. Um, and then I think Silver Linings Playbook might have been the next movie she made, or not terribly long after. And then then after that was
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games,
Oh, but she's
American.
not bad in that either. I don't
No,
mind
she's not.
her.
She's not. I'm not a big fan of those movies. I have them, but I'm not a big fan of those movies because I thought they dragged out too far.
They did.
But she's not bad. It's
No.
not her fault. That's for sure. I think it was just the writing and the adaptation from the screen
Yeah.
page to the screen just didn't work for me as well. Any town in West Virginia, he's talking about how real it feels.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much we mentioned that. So what hell? I'm in Durham. I am in Durham, Steve Moody. I'm in Durham, North Carolina. And he may be talking about your town though, which is there a Durham by you?
Nope. I
Okay,
don't.
so
If there is, I don't think so.
okay, so
It's
maybe
really
cutting
small.
off letters off of Durham. And let me know, Steve. Huck says, I love Jennifer Lawrence. I first saw her in Silver Linings Playbook and she blew me away. Yeah, she was awesome in that movie. There's no doubt. No doubt about that. And she won for
Yeah.
Silver Linings Playbook. Yes, she did. And James, there, everybody's telling us she won for Silver Linings Playbook. We got it, guys. We got it. Huck says, you know it. All right. James, I agree. Huck, JL was great. Jennifer Lawrence was great in Silver Linings and played off De Niro and Bradley Cooper well.
Hmm.
And Holly, yes, that's the name of the movie. No hard feelings. Haven't seen it.
Thank you. I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to see it. I just haven't had a chance to see it yet, or haven't watched it yet. So hopefully, I'll get to it here in the next few days or weeks or whatever. But with spooky season, who knows if I'll get to any
Yeah.
comedies this month? I probably will. I'm sure I will because my wife doesn't do horror, so we'll probably get to that. All right. Oh, Steve had an answer for me before I go to that. He said, "Yes, I'm talking about Durham. Yes, I've called it Durham since I moved here in '71. Yes, I understand. I totally get it. Totally get it. So yes, we are in the same city, Steve.
Oh, that's cool.
Very cool. Very cool. You just never know who's where when you do these things. To mention, when Jennifer took over the role of Mystique, that introduced me to her. For a lot of people, it did actually, because a
Yeah.
lot of people didn't see, you know, Silver Linings Playbook or definitely Winter's Bone. And for a lot of people, it was that or Hunger Games. And I was that before Hunger Games when she did Mystique.
It was after.
It was after. Okay,
Yeah,
I
I'm pretty
was
sure. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's after.
okay. I wasn't quite sure if it was before or after. All right, so we get going on this movie and we get towards the end of her quest, and we just talked a little bit about spooky season. This is not a horror movie, but we definitely got to get a scene that could have been in a horror movie to for her to solve her mystery.
Yeah,
How are
that
you
was
feeling at
heartbreaking.
that
That
moment?
was heartbreaking. But you kind of expected it with the people that were
Mhm.
involved.
Yeah,
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 it's heartbreaking, but at the same time, she gets a happy ending. As
yes,
much as a happy ending you can have in a situation like that.
yes. As much of a happy ending as you can have. That's a
Yeah,
great way to put it. Because I wouldn't call it a happy ending, but it's the ending she wanted.
yeah.
Yeah.
She, no, I don't want to spoil. Can we spoil it or
I don't want to for this one
okay?
because this one's kind of recent, and a good number of people in the chat haven't seen this one.
Yeah,
So I would
yeah.
say,
I mean, and you and I didn't like the dude when he first showed up.
uh
The parole officer he's a parole officer, right?
uh, yeah, parole officer or sheriff. I think he's a sheriff, but either way, but yeah,
Yeah, the one that shows up says he's got to be here or the house is ours or something like
right,
that.
right.
And then I didn't like him at first, but when he redeemed himself a little bit at the end.
A little bit, he did.
Hmm.
He was kind of a jerk all the way through it too,
Yeah,
for the most part. So that was he did get some redemption towards the
yeah.
end. Though. All right, so let's take a look here. So, what did you think about you mentioned the scenery, and I'm gonna you mentioned the costuming, so I'm gonna
Hmm.
throw something else back at you, and that is the cinematography in this movie. What do you think about that? The way the movie looked overall.
I loved it. It felt real. It just the way. I mean, I watched it streaming, so I don't know what the Blu-ray looked like.
Mhm.
There was a fine, just a little bit of grain in the on the stream, and I liked the way that looked. I liked the camera angles they used. I liked like some of the close-ups because sometimes it felt like a documentary of like I don't want to say Teen Mom or something when she's with her what was it, her cousin?
The other young lady.
Yeah,
Uh,
her aunt or something.
yeah, yeah.
And
The
it's
the,
hard to
the
tell.
uncle's wife. Yeah.
Yeah, aunt. So yeah, I dug that. This movie all the way around is a well-made movie
Mhm.
from the cinematography, acting, directing, costume design, and I even said the score. There's a little bit of nice score in there too.
Ooh, let's talk about music for just a minute. Music, obviously, and I am not a folk music fan, but in
Neither am I.
this movie, when they get to that scene where they're in the house in the living room
Yeah,
and they start singing that folk music, I was all in. I was like, oh man, she
yeah.
nailing it, and it was a pretty deep song. How you
Hmm.
felt the same way? It seems like
Yeah, I was like, again, not my type of thing, but that shows you the power of a movie, a well-made movie. It sucks you in no matter what.
right, right, right. And she had some pipes on it.
Yeah.
She was nailing it. All right. Twins say Winter's Bone introduced me to Jennifer Lawrence. So yeah, they got acquainted with her through this movie. And Steve, I've added this one to the watch list. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Let me know how you like it when you see it. All right. We pretty much got the answer, but I'm gonna let you ramble on another minute or so on this movie and your overall thoughts on it. If there's anything else you wanted to add, you know,
No, I think
let's go for it.
I think I gave it 5 stars on Letterbox, either 4.5 or 5. I don't remember because it's been a while since I watched it because we were supposed to do this a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
But like I said, well acted, well directed, well cinematography, everything. And this movie is fantastic. Jennifer Lawrence, very believable. Supporting cast is very believable. And I'm glad this was on your list for me to pick because I finally got to see it. And now I'm going to have to buy it because of you. You make me spend money, Dell.
Hey, I'm an influencer. That's what we do.
That's right, you are.
So I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
This is
And
a must see for everybody. Anybody that's a fan of film, you guys see this movie if you haven't already.
yeah, I would agree with that because I'm a big fan of this movie. Also, it is very well done, fantastic movie. Just like you said, I've got no arguments whatsoever. And let's just take a look, see if there's any other last minute comments coming in. The double features, they say when is bone. Well, we already covered that one already. And there's Holland Sandell, the influencer.
I
Yep,
wish
there.
you would get a kickback when I
I'm
buy it.
telling you, that'd be nice, but it's not happening. I'm not big time yet. I'm not Huck or any of those guys. Huck, if you're still here, I'm just giving you a hard time. It's all good. All right. Well, that's pretty much it as far as we are concerned. And I'm going to let you at this point go ahead and plug anything that you want to plug. Tell us all about turnerfan77 or
Okay.
what else you have going on, what you have coming up. Where can we find you?
First, you can find me on Instagram at turnerfan77, where I post a lot of the movies I watch. I watch a lot of movies. Um, I post a little bit about baseball every now and then, and maybe a little peek at my kids, but mostly it's movies on turnerfan77 at Instagram. And then you can find me on YouTube at turnerfan77, where Dell said I do a show with my daughter called What Are We Watching, Dad, where I show her old movies and get her thoughts. And usually she doesn't like them, so that makes it fun. I do some comic talk with David and usually a guest once every couple months where we just talk comics. But what do we have coming up? Well, I'm one half of the Faces for Radio podcast with I call him my brother, David, aka the 4K Lowdown. And we do a show every Wednesday night on his YouTube channel, the 4K Lowdown. And this Wednesday we have episode 39, I think it is, of By the Numbers, where we take a look at new movies that hit the theater, streaming, and physical media. And we just score them the 4K Lowdown way. In this week's episode, we have a special guest, Nate from Geeks and Flicks. And that's Wednesday night at 8 Central or 8:30 Central time. And that's
All
it.
right. Cool. I'm looking forward to that. One of those streams. I try to watch everybody's stream. I'm just
It's hard to.
it's crazy.
Mhm.
But yeah, I love watching you guys go through the scoring because it is definitely detailed, and I
And we
got to
try to
experience
be.
it firsthand. I hope to experience it again. Hope I get to.
We would love to have you. You know, if you ever want to come on the high or the regular By the Numbers, we'd love to have you. I know
Okay,
David would love to. We will try to work it out. What's a good day for you to
I,
come on?
I'll say this to you. I definitely want to do it, but it'll probably be one of those things. A little more time,
I
and it'll be.
lost what you totally said because you went blank.
Oh, okay. I was saying I would definitely love to do that, but it's one of those that I'll probably wait until after the school year is over. That
Oh
way, I'll
yeah.
be
Okay.
be
Oh
able
yeah.
to have evenings a
Yeah.
little more freer,
Yeah.
and be able to do those things. All right, last minute comments. Fun show, says Patrick. Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Huck says you guys are being so nice. It tickles me. You see me that way. Oh, Huck, you're the man. You know that. You know that. Steve, thanks for the great show, y'all. Sub to Turner Fan 77 just
Thank
now.
you, man. I appreciate it.
Looks like you're talking about a lot of movies I love over there. I didn't mention Stand By Me was the last one you did with your daughter.
Yeah.
That was a great one. And of course, we didn't really mention I wasn't even supposed to watch this. Is another great series that you do.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan, and
Thank
Mika
you.
says By the Numbers, great show.
We appreciate it.
And Rich is sharp. Yes, he is
Thank
very
you.
much so. And Dimension says it's been great. So that's where we're gonna leave it. As for this channel, if you want to come back tomorrow, we're having a really big episode because we got a really big move, two really big movies actually. If you saw my thumbnail for tomorrow night's show, you already know what the movies are for Movie Swap, and I usually don't reveal them until the actual show. But tomorrow, KB is gonna be here, and
That's gonna be a
he
good show.
going to be a good show. For the first time, he's going to watch the original Candyman, and me, for the very first time, I'm going to watch the Zack Snyder remake of Dawn of the Dead. So
Oh man,
we're gonna have lots of fun talking about two pretty big horror movies. That's what's gonna kick off spooky season for my channel, and then we are going next week. We're gonna have the twins will be here, so they'll be here on Tuesday the 10th. And I'm not going to tell yet what we're talking about on those movies yet, on that swap yet. And then the following week after that, we will have Caprice, Draculina Horror, aka Draculina Horror. So
oh
she's going to
she's
be
awesome.
here. Yep, she is also awesome. So we're going to talk plenty of horror this month. The week after that, I didn't make a banner for that, but the 24th, I'm scheduled to have Vinicio on here. So yeah, it's going to be wall to wall horror. I'm worried I may not be able to find a horror movie that Vinicio's never seen, but but I'm gonna give it a shot anyway. He's my guy. But yeah, come back for those. Check out the regular channel. I got hauls coming, and I'm not caught up on all my challenges. I know Huck's got several challenges out there. I'm not caught up on. John from PlatX2's got a big challenge I'm not caught up on, and there are some others I want to do. So I'm gonna try to get those in. In between all the horror stuff in the live streams. Um, but yeah, just check out, like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe to each other out in the chat. Lots of great
Yeah.
content creators. Definitely subscribe to Rich.
Well,
And
thank you.
yeah, absolutely, man. And that's all I have for you on this one, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. See you later, everybody.
See you guys. Thank you.